Yo, what's good? Back with another live video today because we got to talk about what is going on with Tiffany Henyard. Before we talk about what is going on, because they had some new meeting today, and I'm sure that's going to be tomorrow or Friday story. As always, I'm Marcus, the debt-free dad, finances and attorney reactions, licensed attorney, not your attorney. If you're looking for a professional, seek one in your local area and check with your local state licensing agency to make sure they can do what they assert that they can do. Now, we're going to dive in because this is an interesting story, no preface stories, but Tiffany Henyard has just been having a track record of excessive spending. She has a federal investigation. She has multiple lawsuits between her and the village and the trustees. It's just becoming a real Boondocks episode here. And so one of her latest ventures, and one of the things I've actually given her credit for, not saying the money is coming from the right place, but she does tend to always have a lot of community events. I personally feel like she specifically targets the senior citizen population, the population who is more likely to vote. But she always had food drives, book bag drives, something that her skating rink dedicated to her daughter that's only open when she wants it to be open. But I thought this was interesting because Tiffany Henyard had an event, and we talked about this event a little bit, and we all just kind of assumed and kind of used our ability to make an inference based on circumstantial evidence that the likely funding for this event didn't come out of Tiffany Henyard's pocket. One of the things we kept talking about was, hey, why is she expressly saying that, yo, I paid this with my own money? You would only say that if, one, you have allegations and a specter around you of not paying for stuff with your own money that you should. And two, the other thing that was stupid is, why would you say that if you didn't pay for it with your own money? You don't think people can find out? Well, here we are. Lo and behold, we're going to find out what was spent on this party for Tiffany Henyard and some of the upper echelon C-list celebrities that she paid thousands of dollars of taxpayers' funds to perform. If you get some value out of this video, make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. We're going to look at two videos today. The first one, we're talking about the parties and the performers. The second one, we're going to look is a kind of a throwback video, but it's specifically an interview of two trustee members after a board meeting, because here's a chance to just kind of critique them, because these two persons are kind of the main culprits for all of this buffoonery and tomfoolery that we actually got going on right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cue up the video. Let's dive in and get it.
The self-proclaimed super mayor is also apparently a super fan. She flew in nationally known R&B singer Kiki Wyatt to headline the Taste of Thornton Township last month. There were other performers plus daytime events for kids, but given the fury over Tiffany Henyard's spending, we were curious what the event cost. WGN Investigates obtained the bills through open records laws.
She was on here talking about she paying for everything with her own money. Now open records laws show us what really went on. And hey, shout out to Kiki Wyatt, because hey, she could sing. But me personally, what she was paid to be here, I don't know if she's worth. And I honestly don't want to see Kiki Wyatt perform unless she bringing Avant with her and they doing a duet or something together.
Cost. WGN Investigates obtained the bills through open records laws. They show Kiki Wyatt was paid $30,000 for a 30-minute performance.
That's crazy. $30,000 for a 30 minutes performance for Kiki Wyatt. Y'all even know who she is in the audience? I'm assuming people in the audience have literally no clue who she is. She is extremely talented, can sing extremely well, beautiful woman. I don't know if she's worth $30,000. Damn sure not worth $30,000 for 30 minutes, in my personal opinion. Y'all let me know if y'all even know who the hell she is.
For a 30-minute performance, rapper Jay Holiday made $20,000 for a half hour.
All right, Jay Holiday. Who in the chat knows who Jay Holiday is? Okay, if I did the math at 70 attendees for 85,000, It's $938.76 for 76 cents per person. That's a crazy breakdown. That's a crazy breakdown of the numbers. I'll be honest, a lot of people probably don't even know who these guys are. Even the news don't know who they are because they say rapper Jay Holiday, and Jay Holiday isn't a rapper. He's like an R&B singer. But if you aren't familiar, he had like a hit song back in like '07 or '06, I think it was. And he kind of, I think it reached like top 10 on the Billboard charts, but that was kind of his claim to fame. So you got $50,000 for people who probably haven't made a hit in damn near 15, 20 years. $50,000 solely just for compensation for them. And again, if you know who these people are or don't know who these people are, let me know in the comments. I'm assuming most people have no clue. And shout out for the first comment of the day. I appreciate it, Common Sense.
Minute performance. Rapper Jay Holiday made $20,000 for a half-hour set. Other costs, including comedians, bounce houses, staff, and equipment, add $35,000. Meaning this single-day event cost South suburban taxpayers more than $85,000.
That's crazy as hell. And according to the numbers, $938. Let's round it up. $939 per person in taxpayer funding. 0 to 900 people showed up. Does that matter? They got paid. Yeah, their contract to perform. Normally, performance contracts are just exactly what it is. They don't care if nobody show up. If the venue, if it could have been a thunderstorm warning and it got canceled, they're like, nope, contract to perform. Hey, I'm not responsible for unforeseen circumstances related to weather, emergencies, act of God, or your lack of preparing or the lack of interest that people may have. So that's normally how those types of contracts work out.
Add $35,000, meaning this single-day event cost South suburban taxpayers more than $85,000.
That's insane.
I was flabbergasted.
Whoa. Okay, she's really upset. And I'm going to just leave it right there at that.
I was pissed off.
As she should be. That's
That's
fair.
my money. That's the people's money.
That was a flop. It might have been approximately 65 to 70 people there.
We out here in Taste of Thornton. Yeah, keep raining, but it's still going on. Right now they got the comedians.
Yeah, it looked dead as hell in the actual video now that I look at it. Expensive tickets. I agree. Then the other thing too is it was a party tied to what appears to be her campaign. So you talking about not only are you misappropriating the funds, but a potential illegal campaign contribution. This is actually ridiculous. And I'm gonna just be honest: if you're gonna misappropriate funds, you should have just pulled all that together. Like if you'd have took that whole 85,000 and got like one really hot relevant person, that actually probably would have been a better idea than to getting a bunch of C minus level people who most folks don't know who the hell they are. I mean, I'm not condoning the move, but if you're gonna do the move, you might as well do it to where it's one good performer and people like, oh, we know who that is.
Yeah, keep raining, but it's still going on. Right now they got the comedians up there.
To be clear, Henyard's predecessor also threw a Taste of Thornton Township event, but not on this scale.
But see, this all for the babies. This is what they don't show you. They don't show you this side of Tiffany Henyard. The productivity.
She liked to use our tax dollars to promote herself. She have all of these events trying to buy the voters.
After a year's worth of WGN Investigates reporting, detailing first-class travel, meals, and more that's now sparked a federal investigation, trustees in the two governments run by Henyard have tried to stop the spending. Even her former assistant, who's now a township trustee, recently said enough is enough.
I trusted the administration. I trusted the process. And the moment I didn't trust the process, I started asking questions.
Henyard has a habit of claiming to be the boss in one moment, but denying responsibility in others. It recently sparked this reaction.
I do not want a credit card. I do not deal with money. I don't deal with anything.
Let's see. Recoup would have been restaurants traditionally pay to rent space based on square feet. The tickets of attendees occur. This is how usually these venues are offset in costs for legit events. If done right, many times profit is made, and the fact we did not hear about profits is telling. Yeah, if a profit was made too, you wouldn't hear about it at all. But yeah, even planning an event like this, like how I'm not giving Tiffany Henyard the benefit of the doubt that she can do something and actually execute it correctly, regardless of where she get the money from to pay for it. That's just kind of where I'm at with her right now.
Tiffany is a narcissist and she is going to do what she wants to do. I feel like she knows that this is over, but she's going to go down kicking and screaming like an MMA fighter. She's just not going to stop until they put cuffs on her.
Most of the contracts for this event were signed before Township trustees put spending controls in place. So it's possible the concert and other activities were something of a last hurrah for Tiffany Henyard, at least as far as parties go. The federal investigation continues. Even if she's charged, that won't expel her from office. It would take a conviction to do that, but voters will have their say when she's on the ballot next spring.
That's absolutely crazy. Let me go ahead and check out the comments we got. Tiffany did not scream back, yeah, we spent this much, but we made this much money after expenses. She did not say this at all. Yeah, because it's clearly obvious that anything that happens is going to be funds probably coming from the taxpayers. I would be shocked. Like, what did she do with all her money? Like, I kind of get it. If you're spending all the taxpayer money, you should probably be banking your money. But it's interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see the accounting as this thing play out with this federal investigation. That's going to be interesting to look at. Now, I'm going to queue up one other video. And also, we got to talk about a little bit about the salary. Let me go ahead and get this video queued up. Is an interview with a couple of trustees, one of whom we just saw. Let's see, we can close that out. All right. Let me go ahead and get this queued up. All right, we're going to take a look at this. Shout out to the Lansing Journal's website where I got this contact. This is a conversation with Trustee Gonzalez and Trustee Carlisle. Gonzalez is interesting because he's the one who essentially blessed Tiffany Henyard with, selecting her name as the nomination for the supervisor of the Thornton Township. Trustee Carlisle, former ally turned op, former ally turned op. But let's take a listen to this video. It's actually pretty interesting. It's like 7 minutes. I'm gonna see if we can get all the way through it with no more than 2 or 3 stops.
To the logistics of what the staff were saying about approving credit cards and all of that.
Well, like I said, when it really comes down to it, it's about the process more than, it's just a matter of, once again, for lack of a better term, figuring it out. Yes, credit cards are convenient. This day and age are used a lot more. But one of the things I think it's just too much of the stuff is done constantly, like say last minute and things like that, where if it's kind of planned for a little bit more ahead, you probably don't have to use a credit card all the time. So that's kind of what I'd just rather see them used a lot less. That's kind of the bottom line for me.
It seemed like the staff who spoke are not against accountability.
Yep.
Seemed
like, yeah.
They just need to figure out a different process.
Yeah, and we wanted
that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of wanted to get something down, and then can we tweak it later? Yes. Was that really the idea? Not, obviously no, but it's not something we're against.
I'll see you next time.
Hey, good to see you.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like I said, it was mentioned things like computers and furnaces. So yeah, those are emergencies, and it was actually in there as something for an emergency. But there might be better ways we could look at to like they were saying, buying coffee cream or sugar. Does that necessarily always have to go on a credit card? I mean, once again, maybe if we planned a little better, we could utilize them less. That's kind of what we're getting down to. Just because, like Trustee Jones had said, we're seeing it after the fact.
Right.
So we're kind of stuck. I mean, it was done, and there are a lot of things that are on there that we feel shouldn't be.
And the credit card is one that passed, right?
No, that was tabled. If I remember correctly, that was the one that was tabled.
I thought the events one was tabled, but the credit card passed. I gotta.
Well, yeah, I'll have to double check. There were so many. It's like,
I know.
It was kind of crazy, but yeah. So I mean, that's like it's the ultimate goal here was just to get some accountability, some little more transparency. I mean, it's like every week I'm saying things on an older, somebody. I just got a list of a credit card statement from 2023. And there was stuff on there. I mean, I had voted no for it, luckily, but there was just stuff on there that's like, no, this shouldn't be some of the expenditures. I just don't feel should have been on there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of basically where we're at, and that's why we say if we kind of put some limits on it, it'll hopefully bring a little more accountability. I mean, like I said, that's the ultimate goal.
Is it fair to say you're trying to clip her wings?
I mean, to an extent, I mean, just like I said, with the spending.
Is she using credit?
Man, these trustees are kind of weak. Like, bro, just say what it is that you're trying to do. It's terrible. Y'all tired of her running up a bag with taxpayer money. We trying to put something in place and change the process. So one, she's specifically and expressly accountable. They could barely even say what it is that they want to do. And honestly, it's just as much their fault as it is anybody else's fault. I literally, like, if we looking at the blame here, I'm gonna give 60% of it to Tiffany Henyard, but like 40% of it falls on like this guy and the other trustees who thought it was a bright idea to have her in for whatever the promises were or the backdoor deals that were made, and now it's kicking them in the ass. And real talk, all of them should be gone. If Tiffany Henyard's gone, all of those trustees who were on the board, if you had anything to do with her appointment or supporting her for longer than 6 months from the time she was there, your ass should be gone, and you need a new person in there holding your seat. That's my personal opinion. Let me go through some of the comments. James Earl Jones. I know I saw that. I saw that and I thought it was a false story because I feel like I see a story every 2 or 3 years about him passing away for like the past 10 years. So I thought that was a false story. So shout out to him. Rest in peace to James Earl Jones. And the first thought I had, I was like, man, why wasn't he on Coming to America, the new one? I don't know. That was my first thought I had. I thought he'd have been dope to have in there because that was one of the rare do-overs where everybody on the cast was still here to play their part for the most part. Yeah, it's not that difficult. It's called pre-approved inventory with a budget per month limit where that automates certain items as automatic, approved with each item number, i.e. $500 per month for office inventory with 24 Post-it notes, 15 staple boxes, etc. All this goes to a comptroller accountant to review the order each month as reasonable expenses and then sign off. And that's how most spots do it. I worked at a place where they gave every unit within the agency had their own purchase card, and that's how it was done for years. But then we got like a new agency head, and they essentially consolidated everything to the top. So any unit, they had to do like a purchase request and route it up. And one person made all the purchases for the agency. They did give us some difference where we had like, we could get things that were like $500 or less. But if it was like a software or something really high speed, it had to go through all the appropriate channels. But yeah, I think the Board of Trustees, in my personal opinion, is weak. And I also think that if Tiffany Henyard goes, I think that majority of them should be gone too, because they were the ones who put her in this position to be able to siphon off of the community. Now, the voters hold some blame too, but really the trustees, in particular this guy, because he was the one who nominated her for the supervisor of Thornton Township. And when I actually did a video early on where someone asked why did he nominate her, he was like, I didn't know anything about her. She was just a woman, relatively young. thought it would be cool. And then after she got selected and was in the position, he found out that she was at war with, all of her counterparts, or not counterparts, but all the other executive branches of the local government. So that's a failure on his part and their part, and the trustees are weak, in my opinion. They should be gone too.
Credit cards or just department heads?
Personally, I really don't know, but it's the administration will use them, So
she might have somebody order something.
Correct. Yeah. Once again, it's like kind of that thing, would you want to be the leader of something? Regardless, you have to take accountability for it. Just because I tell you to go out and buy me something, still I'm the one that's responsible because I told you, or I should be, feel I'm responsible because I asked you to do it. So but the basic clipping the wings, I don't, consider that, just bring some accountability, I think.
And that's funny. Like, we talk about how all of them suck pretty much, and how they all should be gone. And I mean, let's keep it on 100. A sword is a double-edged sword. It's sharp on both sides. Both sides can cut. If y'all are standing and y'all want Tiffany Henyard to be accountable for what she's doing, y'all need to stand up and be accountable for what it is that y'all do. I literally sincerely hope that every one of those trustee members that were in office at the time she came in, or who supported her for longer than 6 months, they all should be absolutely gone. Anybody and this is who they voted for. This is who they voted for. This is who they selected. I'm sure with some arrangements or deals in the background, because why else? I mean, normally when you nominate a person, you nominate them because, one, you think you agree with their policies and what they can do. But two, deals always get made in politics. That's the name of the game. We're likely looking at a state or federal takeover bailout. I'll be honest. I think some type of intervention at the state level or the federal level is going to be required. More likely than that, it would probably come at the state level. And because right now, as much as you want to put a target on Tiffany Henyard's back for her gross misconduct, for her recklessness, her lack of regard for authority and ethics and all of that shit, for as much as you want to say that, is equally said is one thing that we know about the Board of Trustees: they're generally incompetent. I mean, would you all think that they're competent? Do you think that this Board of Trustees, they had a surplus, and it looks like they had a surplus for years, and somehow one person came in office and flipped everything on his head? To me, that just screams incompetence from the actual board. The board should have had enough legislative power to be able to hold off the actions of the mayor. The fact that they couldn't do that, the supervising trustee, the fact that they couldn't do that, it goes to show the board is just as incompetent, if not worse. They actually may be worse. Real talk. They actually may be worse than Tiffany Henyard, honestly. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I am one of the few insurance agents who can get insurance companies to reverse decisions by citing state laws and their own policy languages. I argue with merit using the language back at them. Most people don't do their due diligence, though. Like, what would you... All right, if we had to look at, like, the average performer of the average employee in any profession, the average NBA player, the average plumber, the average dentist, the average attorney, most people probably perform at like a D+ level. Let's just keep it a buck. Most people probably perform on average at a D+ C level. So with that being said, most people are going to do things how they've always been done. And that's that's one of the biggest red flags ever. When you ever had a problem at an organization and you get there and you're like, wait, why are we doing this like this? This is not right, or is weird. Like, why are we doing this like this? And anytime you hear the response, this is how we've always done it, that means they've been doing that shit wrong for a long time. And that's how these trustees were operating. they just been doing things wrong for a long time. It just never had no real life consequences because they never had an executive who was willing to step on their throats and to step on the purses and the wallets of the taxpayer to burn them out of pocket. Let's see. Yeah. It is where the trustees felt they cannot argue back their own statutes. Yeah. Thornton is most likely left with no choice but to be absorbed by another municipality as they are in bankrupt status without means to recover. And it's actually funny because I actually talked to an attorney I know who's actually from Chicago. They're familiar with Thornton. And the very first thing they said when I asked them about it, they was like, honestly, it should just be absorbed into one of the bigger counties or bigger communities or bigger municipalities because it's really too small to really do anything. And this shows that they have an inability to be sustained. All right, let's go and get through this video. And this is the smile of a person who fucked over the.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Do you know what the deal is with Trustee Gray Everett?
No, I really don't. No, I have no idea what that was all about. No.
And do you know where Jerry Jones was?
No, I'm
For
not
adjournment?
sure. No, I'm not sure what he got up and left out. No, I'm not sure.
Was he in the closed session?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he doesn't make it back for adjournment?
Yeah, and Trustee Darlene was actually in there for about a couple minutes and then left again from there.
In the
as well.
closed session?
Yes.
Oh.
So she was still here. I don't know what that was about. She was still present, and then she came in and then left at that too. So I have no idea what that's about. But it's about the process, not the.
Right.
Same could be said with the contractors. It's like we get it. Yes, they've done work, and they should be paid. But a lot of these contractors never came through the board to begin with.
Right.
So you get into that. Once again, yeah. I mean, we've got so many employees.
And you asked the same question about Keith Price, too.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, so there's a lot of employees.
You know what else pissing me off, too, as I watched this interview? He's smiling too fucking much for me. Like, honestly, this is nothing about this situation where somebody should be doing an interview and that shit should give the appearance of happiness and shit being sweet. I'll just be honest. Like, this dude's smiling way too much. He's real too nonchalant with what's going on. And I'm assuming probably because despite everybody being screwed, he won't be impacted as bad as the average person.
Employees here that haven't come through the board, and it's like, oh yeah, I work in this department, and it's like, I've never seen you.
So what should the process be? Is it any township employee or anybody
on the general
department
fund,
head?
Anybody on the general fund side. General assistants, the supervisor gets to hire there without board approval. But anybody on general fund side should come through the board. And
So like you should be seeing resumes and job applications, or does the supervisor recommend somebody?
It's basically like, the person would be recommended. Generally, there's like a data sheet, name, title, compensation, things like that. And then if we generally want more information, we would ask. Usually it's mainly the basics. Like I said, we don't what they're going to be doing, how much they're going to be getting paid, things like that. We don't necessarily see a whole, say, file on them. Like we necessarily don't see the job application say it's usually available. But we've had so many people just come through, haven't even gone through any process whatsoever, which obviously is a problem. And it's just constant, though, unfortunately. And that's why I brought up, like you said with Mr. Price, it's like, I mean, because he was on the general assistant side.
Right.
That's fine. Like I said, she could do that. But if he's now.
Is he still doing that job too?
My understanding is no, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
He don't know what's going on. He don't know what job. He don't know what job anybody has.
So, but yeah, coming on, if he's seeing delicate information on the general fund side, that's never come through the board. I mean, to me, that's not a good thing. So.
Did you approve Keith Freeman, or how did he get?
If I remember correctly, because we're going back a little bit, I believe he did come through the board. If I remember correctly, yeah. Yes.
So she was.
Another sign that Keith Freeman came through the board. He's another person tied up in this nonsense who's purported to be working with Tiffany Henyard's ops. He went through the board. Another example of the board picking the wrong person to do the job and now they fucked and they sitting here smiling doing interviews when they really should be livid.
He was one of her first hires then.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, yes, he did come through.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, just.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez.
You're welcome. Yeah, I know.
They're making us.
Real quick, we got it's almost over. I wanted to go through and hit some of these comments up real quick. Not enough residents to tax recover in 5 years, in my opinion. I think it'll take double that. That's what I guesstimated. So you probably more of a numbers person than me and familiar with this stuff. But I figure if it took 4 years for her to jack everything up, I think it's going to take 8 to 10 for them to potentially be able to rectify it. Yeah, I watched older videos. The boys were yesing her to death. It had to be some deals made. Like, I can't see, like, I've rarely seen instances in local government where, like, the mayor or the chief executive just had kind of an absolute majority vote held hostage by, like, the board or the councils. That's odd as hell. Board mayor and trustees acting more immature than high school civics club doing their own business, all titles and not work. I agree with that completely. Yeah. Why the hell don't they have a PR spearhead? Is beyond me. You would think that at least like I mean, if you're gonna spend taxpayer monies, I would spend taxpayer money on having a PR person. If I was going to spend, hey, if I'm using money for anything anyway, you might as well have a professional to tell you, hey, how your outward facing appearance should be. So I do agree with that. Yeah. It's written unless appointed, all non-appointments are defined higher and must go through board approval. I cannot find the definition of appointment for determination of those position processes. I know, and someone did tell me in another comment that for some positions, Tiffany Henyard used the Trump tactic of just naming someone interim or acting because they were able to do that for a finite period of time without board approval, and they just keep renaming and identifying that person as an interim to whatever title it was. So let's see. These trustees suck. They haven't the slightest clue of how to run a municipality. And honestly, they just better hope they get lucky. Just think about it. Like, think about somebody who is like kind of as greedy. Think about a politician who would be as greedy or selfish as Tiffany Henyard appears to be, but who actually is smart and knows how to do it and cover it up the right way. That's fucking dangerous. Like, honestly, there's some small value and satisfaction of having a Tiffany Henyard because she's so non-savvy in how she conducts her business, legal or otherwise, that, you know, hey, if someone's going to be doing wrong, you don't want them to be slick about how they do wrong. You want them to be kind of terrible at doing wrong, so it's easier for them to get popped. Let's see. Yeah. It's not a $7 million deficit. It's a $9 million deficit if you count the $2 million surplus before the bankruptcy. Yeah, and that would count. Yeah, she's running circles around them, and that says it all. They can't articulate their stance or hold their ground and stonewalling her. I agree with that completely. I think that low key, I'm gonna be honest, I think they kind of scared of her too. That's it, Tiffany far right lefty. But I think they kind of scared of her too. Because she's loud, and I think we would all agree that she does have kind of her own goon squad. So that's like taking the page out of like Julius Caesar's book. That's like taking a page out of Julius Caesar's book. He would like have people go in there and whip the senator's ass. And you know, y'all know I'm a history buff. He did exactly the same thing. It's actually the same thing. I don't know if y'all know, but from a historical standpoint, Julius Caesar had a group, they called it the Triumvirate, and it was him, Marcus Crassus, who was the richest man in Rome, and a general, I think it was General Pompey, the kind of great or something like that. But they all kind of worked together in that first year. They just like stonewalled anything. Anytime the Senate wanted to do something, they would send the goon squad in there, whip the senator's ass, and then the senators would sign. And And she kind of taking that same approach. I don't think she got anybody getting their ass whipped per se, but she does have what I would probably refer to as a political goon squad. She had Lacey for a minute. She had her boyfriend running around bumping people at town hall meetings. So I do agree. Yeah. Yes, that was me. You can pro tem appoint during vacancy. You cannot have it run consecutive. So if you lose the pro tem for a week and restart the clock. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that week off ain't going to hurt nothing. As long as you get an opportunity to restart the clock. As a trustee, I would just ignore her, especially when everyone else doesn't have a microphone. Or like, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny about the microphone too, because like hers is working and everybody else doesn't work. It's more than 9 million. Don't forget about the 6 million in unpaid bills. That's a good point. That's a good point too. They currently have about 7 million in unpaid bills. I was counting that deficit. Okay, let's see. I would go to the I would go to the restroom. I'm not going to sit and talk about approving cake and ice cream for 2 hours. I wouldn't engage verbally until I saw a budget to approve. Yep, I agree. I think that's a fair point. They gotta grow some. They gotta get a pair. I mean, honestly, they just moving a little bit too soft. Consider the dire straits that their community is in. I just don't think nobody is really pissed enough. Personally, they all seem like everybody else is fucked, but not necessarily me that bad.
Meeting is over. I know, right? I know. I just real quick. So if you want to take your time. Like 3 hours, like, you know.
Oh my God. I'm with the Lansing girl.
He
has the smallest bladder.
So it's okay if some things I say no comment if I don't want to.
It's okay. How do you feel? It seemed like a very tense. You really had to stand your ground.
It was tense, but I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good. Yeah. You know, what we're doing is important.
Yeah. It seems like you found your voice.
Yes. It was in there somewhere deep, very deep, but yes.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're making progress?
Real quick, she the only person on the board of trustees, really? She's the only person on the board of trustees who I could reasonably understand why it took her what I would consider a long time to actually come around to doing the right thing. She's literally the only person because she was previously Tiffany Henyard's assistant, if I'm not mistaken. And she probably does feel some sense of loyalty to Tiffany Henyard. It's actually not uncommon. I think Tiffany Henyard going in probably thought it was a big plus. Like, yo, I got an ally who I'm about to put on the board who used to work. We about to get this bag. We're going to always have a vote in our pocket, so to speak. So I think of all the trustees, she's the only one who I'm not giving any of them a pass, but I can kind of rationale why she probably hung in with Tiffany Henyard longer than she should have, because they have a prior relationship. And honestly, it's quite possible that she looks at Tiffany Henyard as like kind of a mentor, you know, and it could be reciprocated. Tiffany Henyard probably looked at her like, oh, I'm raising her up. This is my mentee. And one day she can get this money. So, but she's the only person who I could objectively look at and I'd be like, that situation is a little bit unique because there were a prior relationship there, employer, employee, some loyalty obligations may be present. Outside of that, I can't justify the other folks.
Progress, like the board is making progress.
Well, I don't know. This is just the beginning. So we have a lot of implementation to do. So hopefully we are, but only time will tell.
All right. Anything you want to say to residents of Thornton Township?
No, I'm for the residents, and we're doing our best to make sure things are right in Thornton Township.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, so we can see there that everybody was going on. It's all about the money. Everybody's concerned about the money. They kicking the can down the road till the feds show up or till the election is over with. Yeah, short-sighted. I've said we have a position Tiffany may have been unethical, but not necessarily illegal until proven. And that's always a fair argument. I did see some people bring that up. There's a thin line between something that may be unethical or ethics violation, but you can have an ethics violation that doesn't cross into illegality. But just as a matter of course, from all the reporting, I'm gonna lean on the side of we probably got a lot of stuff over here that is, that is illegal. It's a group of illiterate people trying to use big words. That's funny. Investigations are not about CSI solved in 1 hour. It can take years sometimes. Yo, I've worked investigations that took hella long, a lot of years. Real quick before we go out, I wanted to talk about something about her salary because in a prior video, I was getting a lot of comments about her salary, and her salary as Thornton supervisor, I believe, is $220 some odd $1,000, and she had a provision in there that she had pushed forward where, like, if a new person is elected, their compensation would be $25,000, and a lot of people in the comments were talking as if they think Tiffany Henyard's salary as the Thornton supervisor was too high. Is that the case? I actually think that the salary is probably accurate. Apparently, the predecessor who had that high ass salary served in that position for 20 some odd years, 26, 28, some number like that. And that salary continued to grow and grow over time. I think that salary is just right. It's just where it would be. Like, if I got a job and I worked at a job for 15 years and my salary went up to $200,000 and I leave out of that job, that position is worth $200,000. It shouldn't go back down to $50,000 just because another person taking it. So I think that was a interesting point. A lot of people were going back and forth over that, but I give it a little bit of deference. If the last dude was making that for that position, that should be what the rate is. Yeah. You can tell she learned a new word. That's funny. Tiffany accidentally tipped her hand on that. Yeah. That's hilarious. It's right for a competent person manages 17 villages, not her. I agree with that. Now you can your salary can exceed your actual ability to do the job. But going in, I think that, hey, this is the salary for the position. It grew over time for inflation, responsibilities, maybe transitioning to part-time, full-time, whatever. I think that generally I'm on board with if the salary increases, person goes out, new person comes in, that salary could go down, but it shouldn't deviate substantially. So like maybe if it went from like 228 to we're going to start out paying 195 and then it could climb back up, but it shouldn't be a substantial drop in my personal opinion. Okay, it was Dalton Mayor who approved the salary to be back down to 50. Tiffany got the trustees to agree to have it again. She has the high salary because it was not election but appointment. Okay, yeah, so she was the one who busted down to 25,000. That's crazy. This is the problem of her over Dalton and Thornton. The lines of what ordinance applies and the trustees become muddy. Yeah, it literally should be something in the bylaws where you can't maintain those positions. Okay. Appreciate that, Jeff. She only makes 200 plus K because she's finishing Zuck's 9th term. Pay goes by the number of terms. That's interesting. Pay go by the number of terms. I never seen that before. I don't know. Is that the norm? I feel like that's not the norm. I can only speak for places I lived, but normally that pay was set. It wasn't like maybe if you were like, the senior member of the council or something like that, that's a specific unique position. But that's interesting. I never seen that before. Well, that's it. I'm getting text messages blown up about the debate. Apparently, Trump is showing his ass, allegedly, hypothetically, purportedly. I was actually watching it before because I actually had this set for 11. I was like, I'm gonna finish watching this damn debate. But after about 45 minutes or so, I was like, nah, I can't do this. I'm gonna just have to catch the highlights on the highlight side of the game. Let me see. The Dalton meeting is going to be a dumpster fire. They are implementing new ordinances to curtail her actions in recent years. Yeah, I saw that was actually streaming live tonight, and I saw some people streaming it live. I was like, I like to wait till all of that stuff over. It's cool to stream it live, but streaming it live, it would literally just be watching that, and y'all would probably watch me eat my dinner. That sounds like an ordinance set for COLA. The longer you go in term, the more you raise, the more you raise. Okay. 9/12 is the special meeting. Okay. I thought it was, I don't know. I saw some type of meeting that they had going on tonight. Yeah. That's what I'm referring to. Well, we gonna be tuned in for the 9/12 shit show. I mean, meeting. Hey, I appreciate everybody. I wouldn't want to run too long tonight because I was on here earlier talking about police stops of NFL players who've been making historically bad decisions in general, but especially this week. Yo, that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody who interacted, who watched. Hey, I'm really grateful that you all allow me a moment, some time out of your day to talk about stuff and entertain. So if there's anything you want me to talk about or address specifically, hit me up on official Debt Free Dad, IG, Gmail, and we'll have the team look at it. And if it's something we can fit into the schedule that's consistent with what we're doing, we'll definitely bring it to the forefront. Yo, y'all have a good one. Be safe and be blessed. Peace.